I'm disabled. Why do you need to get over it? Hello strangers, I'm Ravenna and I'm here again with a 5-book wrap up. This is where I talk about 5 books that I have read this year. In order that I read them, sort of. So that's the concept, here are the books. So first I read Is There Anybody There by Maggie Pearson. This was just a really random library pickup. They said it was a graphic novel, but it's not really. It's actually just a book that has illustrations in it. I think it's like meant to be like an easy read book for like dyslexic teenagers, or like, you know, just teenagers who are struggling with reading in general. It's okay, it's about a ghost story. It's like, it's only 80 pages, so there's not really much I can say without spoiling stuff. The illustrations were fine. The writing is very basic, so it's not like I really would recommend it, and the story isn't that great, so it's just like, it is what it is. I give it 3 out of 5 stars. I guess I gave it 2.5 stars. Next I read The Hitchhiker by Anthony Horowitz, and this is a graphic novel adaptation of one of his short stories from his Horowitz Horrors story collection. This is okay. I do feel like they kind of changed something about the story, but I can't quite remember what. It's been a while anyway, so it's been years since I read the actual short story. I think if you haven't read the short story, you'll probably like this better than I did. So I gave it 3 out of 5 stars, because it's okay. I think it doesn't really work as a story when you know what the ending is. Next I read Elle Deafo by Cece Bell. I did enjoy this book right up to the end, where there's like this author note about how the author doesn't identify as being disabled, which is fine, but the way it was written is very much felt like it was saying that being disabled is a bad thing, and we really need to move away from this notion. Like, there's all these kind of notions that definitely able is somehow better than just saying disabled. Like, I'm disabled, why do you need to get over it? Being disabled, it just means that there's something in your life that the world wasn't designed for. Obviously disability could be more extreme or less. I'm dyslexic, that's a reading disability. Everyone else can read. I mean, I can read now, but like growing up it was really hard. Sometimes with dyslexia it's just that you have to learn to read in a different way than other people. So it's just kind of like the way the world is set up isn't set up for you. So it's like, I guess it's fine not personally identifying with just being disabled, but then tunnel ableism is something a lot of people do suffer with, and you should challenge that about yourself. Like, why do you feel the need to tell people you're not disabled? A lot of the points, I guess, are good. I mean, I didn't love the book outside of that notion completely anyway. I mean, I gave it 3 out of 5 stars, but as a memoir, so I can't like criticize her own experience. I wrote kind of my more detailed thoughts just after reading the author note on Goodreads. Disability is a complicated thing, but I just think it's important to be careful when talking about disability, or like even your own disability, that you're not putting other disabled people down. If we all face ableism together, we'll solve it. I don't know. I guess like the big thing if you're disabled is, do you suffer from ableism? If the answer is yes, then congratulations, you're technically disabled. So this is cute, and it's just, you know, does deal with ableism and like internal ableism a little bit. I feel slightly uncomfortable by the author note, but it's like, I'm not like fully deaf. I have an audio processing disorder, which is kind of difficult, but you know, I can still hear. Caption your videos. Next I read A Kind of Spark by Elle McNicoll. This is a book with an autistic main character by an autistic author. This is Own Voices. It is currently the best book that I've read that deals with autism. I mean, I have read a few autistic Own Voices books, but I think this is definitely the best, and maybe because it's coming from somebody who's fully comfortable with their autism, I think. There's books where I've had issues with, I don't think they portrayed it really well. Well, one of them had like a speech in the middle that felt really weird, and the other one was somebody who had an ableist idea and then found out from that ableist idea that they were autistic, so it's not like the best. It's not the best. It's not like terrible, but it's not the best. So this deals with ableism a lot, and a bit of tunnel ableism as well. The main character is 12 years old and in primary school. She learns about her village's connection to the witch trials. This book is set in just outside of Edinburgh, so Scotland, which is fun. I haven't read enough books set in Scotland. I just really love this book. It came out this month, well, the month I'm recording it came out early June, so I would highly recommend this book. It dealt with a lot. I like, you know, spoke about a lot of stuff that I did go through in high school. I never had an autism diagnosis in high school, but like, you know, I still faced a lot of ableism from teachers and things haven't changed, sadly. So I do think this is a really important book for autistic kids to have, or just like kids to have in general. I did actually go onto my library website and trying to figure out, how do I request this book? Like, I've already read it, I just want my library to have this book, and I couldn't figure it out, so like, I'll have to figure out that another day. This was like a 5-star book, and I'm like so glad that I made the choice to just like pre-order it on a whim. I saw an autistic reviewer talking about this book, and she had gave it 5 out of 5 stars, so I had to buy it. Last but definitely least, we have more Buddy Horowitz. This is a collection of short stories and by Anthony Horowitz, and it is not great. So I actually own an old library copy of this book. My library was selling their copy and I bought it because I didn't realise that more Horowitz horror stories existed. And then I saw on my library they also had the ebook of it, so I downloaded that, and I also downloaded Scared to Death by Anthony Horowitz. And it turns out that these are the two same books, just like published like 8 years apart. There is some important differences between Scared to Death and More Buddy Horowitz, and the big difference is transphobia. Originally in More Buddy Horowitz, one of the characters wants to become a man, and it's like a joke. And I know it was a joke because in the republishing the book, that story is changed that she wants to help donkeys instead of that it is a trans man. They establish that they want, if they win money, they want to transition to a man. And that's just a joke, and everyone uses she, her pronouns for them during the whole of the book. There's even like they're given a name. They've already chosen their name, so like they're being dead named throughout the whole story as well for no reason. It was released in like 2011. It's still like really crappy, and I think it's because a few years before this book was released, the UK Big Brother's winners was an openly trans woman, so I feel like it was meant to be a joke about that. It's like, it's not commentary, you're just being transphobic. And I guess they acknowledge that they know they're being transphobic because they take that part out in the reprinting. But I know it's there. And there was other stuff that was bad, like gay is used as a slur, like in like the really naughty way of, that's so gay, he's so gay, but not actually meaning that he is a homosexual and he likes boys. So it's definitely problematic, and like in general these stories are just not as good as his first horror collection. Like, well, actually it's technically this is his third collection, but like the stories are just not good, and a lot of the stories are just baiting rip-offs of his original stories, which is kind of weird. Like they even like make straight up references to the stories that he's already written, but it's like the exact same plot. One of the few girl main characters is sold online. I think you kind of know a man wrote this book, because even in 2000s that was a thing that was happening to real girls. So it's like, I don't know, like sex trafficking is horrifying, Horowitz, but like you don't need to like do a weird horror story about it. A lot of worse things could happen to girls than that when they're sold online. It's not great. I definitely do not recommend this series. I gave it like 1 out of 5 stars because you have to rate it something on Goodreads. It's really not worth anything. There's another difference in Buddy Horowitz to Scared to Death, is that like one story is taken out of Buddy Horowitz, which is about someone plotting to kill your child's author, Darren Shaw. And like Episumi got permission for that. And there's also like intermission where one of the clues is wild animal that's always also a telescope. It was Black Panther, and like, I know they were technically counted as a telescope, but like, I don't think you can just kind of drop that into like a crossword for kids without like talking about the US system. It's not great. I'm writing like a full review where I go through each story. There's a new story in Scared to Death instead of the Darren Shan one, like I said. It's not great. It's like and Donald Trump is in it for some reason. I'm like, yeah, you're right, that is the most horrifying part about this book. He's not actually in it, but like a picture of him is in it, and I'm like, why couldn't you have just said the president? Why did you have to be specific? Why did you have to date this book like that? I mean, yeah, it's horrifying. So those are 5 books that I read. This was kind of a mixed bag, and by mixed bag I mean like kind of like okay, but oh my god, I love it, and then terrible. And also I was reading but more about Horowitz doing the whole like when J.K. Rowling decided she was gonna like be the worst. Like I was in the middle of reading that book when she did that, and I'm like, this really is the week for it. By the way, Anthony Horowitz still has, well at least last time I checked, still has her retweeted. So they might have took it out the book, but yeah, maybe don't stan Alex Rider anymore. So I will see you Weirdos next time, where hopefully my reading will be consistently good. Farewell. Next I read The Hitchhiker by Anthony Stewart. No. Next I read the... You know what this guy is called. Next I read A Kind of Spark by Elle McNicoll. Why do you want to say this name so weirdly? Probably should have went with purple lipstick.